Welcome to coverage of round one of the Rotax Max Challenge in South Africa. We're heading into DD2 Masters now to have a look and see what the Masters are going to do to ensure that they secure their seats for the World Finals later on this season. Let's catch up with the big boss man, Ed Murray.
We've added a couple of classes for 2019. What we're saying is we're catering for the youngest karters as well as the older and heavier karters now. Historically, the Rotax series was just all about the sort of pre-teens, teenagers, and sort of early 20s and so on. We've had a DD2 Masters class run successfully inside the DD2 class, where now it's actually going to run on its own. So today is the first time that it's running on its own. And wonderful, we've got 12 starters in the DD2 Masters class. First time that they're now running on their own. Lovely to see 12 starters there. I guess most people would put money on Michael Stephen, who has so many karting and saloon car championships under his belt that you have to take him very seriously. Jono Petersen, also a very accomplished driver. So yeah, let's see how that one pans out.
Qualifying, it's Michael Stephen ahead of Jonathan Petersen, and then Roy Gruer ahead of Connor Hughes. Marco Vegas making his way up there ahead of Brett Brito. Andre Steenkamp ahead of Ernst Viljoen. Let's catch up with the pole man who set an incredible 40.7, Michael Stephen.
Yeah, definitely. You know, the opportunity to race two classes this weekend presented itself, and you know, it's one of those things, and hopefully I can make it through the weekend, but you know, so far the fitness is okay. But yeah, definitely the focus is on the Masters in the DD2, and obviously with the aim to win the championship and go back to the World Finals.
The DD2 running now, the Masters running its own class. What's your perspective on that?
Yeah, obviously from my point of view and like a pure racer, you know, I want to race against the youngsters. But I think, you know, one needs to look at the bigger picture for karting. I think we've got 12 or 13 Masters on the grid. And if you look at last year, you know, it was substantially less. So I think there's you know, room for growth now for the Masters class. And you know, I think going around to the different provinces and that as well, I think there's quite a few guys that will join at each region. So I think it's a good step for karting.
Yeah, the plan is obviously to try and qualify for the World Finals. That's the ultimate plan. But
go back to sauna and hope it's dry.
Yeah, dry. Yeah. But yeah, I'll just have some fun, and you know, with the weight category, you know, it's so high. So we're gonna try and at least we get our own race now. And we don't have to race the youngsters, so yeah, it might make a bit of a cleaner race for us, and see what we can do from there.
So in 175, Nick is on pole. You're right there in front of him. Michael behind you last year in Cape Town. Michael, you had an epic duel. So is that the plan for this 175? Keep Michael behind?
Oh yeah, definitely. If we can keep Nick behind, we'll go for it. So our session pace is quite good. So hopefully the race pace is good. So we'll see. Yeah.
The new surface here in Cape Town?
I think it's fantastic. You know, it's really brought the track to its own. You know, it's made it a lot more fun. You know, it's kind of taken the local knowledge away a bit. So it's even the playing field, shall I say? But yeah, generally I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, I think so. But we've still got the likes of Michael Stevens and Jonathan Petersen. So a lot of experience, guys who've been to the Worlds. So a lot of incentive and motivation for the rest of us to try and catch up. And yeah.
You mentioned Rose too, but yesterday in qualifying, it seems like you could be putting some pressure on them.
I hope so. Let's see if we can keep up the pace and try and also learn from them while we're racing.
The circuit's been resurfaced, and everybody seems to think it's got much better grip and stuff now. How do you find the circuit, and what's the strategy for today?
Yeah, clearly it's quicker. If you look at last year's times, I think it's shattered last year's times.
It's the start of 2019 for the karting season for all of us. It's our first national for the year. Masters this year running separately to what we did last year. For me, it's my second time back to Cape Town. Finding a lot more speed, a lot more pace, which is positive for myself. Let's hope we can carry it through to tomorrow.
The guys in the class, obviously you've got the superstar Michael Stephen at the front, everybody chasing him down. Mr. Petersen is there. Who are the guys in the class to look out for?
Look, obviously you've got the likes of Mike and Jonathan. I'd like to be able to say you've got a lot more PE boys there. Hopefully Mike's given us a lesson or two back home. PE is the next national, so hopefully we can do something there. But I think just to stay safe, keep it on the track and come home with a decent day is good enough for most of us. If we can end up on the podium, it's even more of a blessing. So.
Well, there hasn't been massive expectations because first national away from home, so it's been quite good to get out here. We put a couple of laps in and got a couple of good times. I think better than we were expecting to start with, and hopefully race day will be a goodie.
You have the rock star, as I call him, of Mr. Magado is not here, so everybody's happy. Even Michael is happy, but Michael at the front, he's the man with a target on his back. The rest of you guys, what is the objective?
Look, I think for me, if I can just get a bit more pace, we can try and dive up to the field front a bit and maybe get in the top 3 or 4 and be happy from my side.
You've got your homeboy Jonathan also right up there. He's been consistently there, coming first, coming second the last couple of seasons.
Yeah, well, I know he's going to dive.
And the master class is looking very good.
Yeah, 100%. So yeah, if I can try and get in quite close to him, I can try and dive with him because you're never going to leave a dive out there.
Round 1, race 1 of DD2 Masters. Michael Stephen. Oh, here we go. It's all the usual contenders. Jonathan Peterson alongside him. We've seen them in action already today, but we're going to be seeing more of the same now in DD2 Masters. And there's a head down there. The bumps into turn 1. Caught a couple of drivers out. And running ever so slightly wide there was the 162 of Marco Vegas. But he managed to come back in there. Huggies has got a good start as well. Watch out for Connor Hughes as he comes through there. Oh, it's some action in the background. We've got a spinner. But as they come through, it looks like Peterson tucked in and right behind Michael Stephen out of the 180s.
No, Connor Huggies moved up to second there behind Michael Stevens through all that mess. So Jonathan Peterson got some work to do to get back onto Michael Stevens and make it the same battle we had in Max 175. Majority of this grid, though, from Western Province, though Connor Huggies, expat from Mozambique, but spending most of his time here in the Western Province now.
Looks like he's got a bit of work to do now as all of a sudden he's looking into the face of the attack of 169 and Jonathan Peterson makes him pay for it. He looked over the shoulder at the wrong time and Peterson dived and took that second place away from him. So Hughes all over the back of Peterson now. Peterson trying to bridge the gap that Michael Stephen has opened up for first and second.
Those 180s are tricky on the second lap, especially when the guys pull the beach sand over onto the track during the first lap. So it becomes very slippery through there. So the second lap's always treacherous, but they seem to make it through.
Making it through there is 68 Roy Gruer, who's just behind that little pack. In fact, he should be 168, but on our timing it says 68, so we'll try and get that one right as they come through into the chicane now to complete the first lap. Michael Stephen just controlling things from the front end, but he's not going to have it his own way. That I can tell you. I think Peterson is going to resume the battle that they saw in the 175s earlier on, and he's going to be fighting hard there with the 188 of Connor Hughes.
Yeah, Huggies and Rob Gruer fight it out every Western Province event, so I expect to see the two of them fighting it out for third place, with Jonathan Peterson and Michael Stevenson carrying on what they did in the Max 175s.
146 is Andre Steenkamp. Nice little fight there as well, and he's having to do it exceptionally hard there with Marco Vegas. The two of them looking over the shoulders and trying to avoid the attentions of each other. Vegas in the best position though to be in, and it's chasing, and there you go. That's why there's one mistake you can just dive through and make it stick, and that's exactly what he's done. So a good move there from MV.
Yeah, Marco Vegas coming out of Ricky Perdigau's stable, making that mistake into turn 1 on the first lap, so having to claw his way back up to the field, but the gap looks big for him to chase.
So he was able to bridge that gap down. He's not going to catch these guys, but he might still be able to get into the top 5. Let's see what happens by the end of this one as we get into the thick of it now for DD2 Masters. Michael Stephen fending off, and the attack is coming from, who do we expect? Peterson.
Yeah, Ralph Woodendal redesigning his sticker kit for the season. He actually came out tops on that 169 kart of Jonathan Peterson. Ralph Woodendal, very experienced kart tuner as a driver as well, winning the DD2 championship 2 years in a row, I think it was, helping Peterson out there to catch the Michael Stevens kart.
And Volkswagen Motorsport Driving Academy kart of Stephen is looking good at the front end, but he is under threat as they get down under braking for this first corner. 101, 169, getting away from the rest of the pack. Hughes has got no answer, but he's got a decent enough margin between himself and Gruer, and Marco Vegas now starting to close in on that gap for 4 and 5.
Yeah, we see Jonathan Peterson just clipping that sand that I was talking about earlier, the debris from the lap 1 incidents, and he just lost a couple of tenths on Michael Stevens. Unfortunate, it's taken him 2-3 laps to close that gap, and now he's going to do it all over again.
Not easy to do. that gap down and then just make one little issue or just find somewhere where somebody's pulled some dirt onto the track and it costs you. And those Mojo tyres work so well on the black stuff, but if you do get a little bit of debris on there, any tyre is going to have a bit of an issue to try and maintain grip.
Yeah, you can hear these tires squealing. It's actually a sound we don't hear anywhere else in the country. That deep whine of the tire as it goes over the tar. It's just a different type of tire here in Cape Town. And since the resurface, all of us, drivers, teams, we've all been struggling to get these karts to settle down on this new surface.
I think it's still a little bit too green, as they say, even though it's on black stuff that we play on. But the green side of things means there's not enough rubber down to give you that ideal amount of grip that's out there. They do run karts here almost all week long. I know they've got a driving academy that uses the circuit to coach here too, and of course they've also got their 4-stroke karts that they use for team building exercises. So there should be rubber being laid down on a more regular basis now as we get into the season. I think by the end of the year, and when we get back here for race 1 of next year, we're definitely going to be in for a whole nother ball game. We're seeing lap records tumble though, so the surface can't be too bad.
Yeah, I was about to say we're calling it green, but we're hitting lap records everywhere around. So it's a very strange surface to contend with. Jonathan Peterson had a quick look there on Michael Stevens as he closed the gap down. I think he doesn't feel like he's got the pace to run with him the whole race, so he wants to make a move stick as soon as he can.
And he's definitely looking for a chance now. Stephen under a bit more pressure than what he was earlier on. Soaking it up though and enjoying the little battle he had earlier on in the 175s, now in DD2 Masters, and putting in a really top-class effort here. These two, the class of the field, they've pulled about 6 or 7 seconds ahead of Connor Hughes. Hughes, as I said, no answer to these two. But
there's the move again.
Nice move. Can't quite make it stick though, or does he?
He stays there now. He's coming back for the second 180. Has he got the cutback done?
No. Not close enough there, but definitely starting to set things up. And I think Michael Stephen is well aware of that. There's Hughes in the background, and look how much closer Roy Gruer is now to Hughes. So the battle there between the two Cape Town boys going to be going at it in a few minutes' time.
Yeah, that bright orange head of the Punjabi motor power that Ralph Ndal gives out there, the Punjabi race engines, are helping him along there to get up back onto the back of Michael Stevens. But he needs to make a move stick soon. 12 out of 15.
There they come. Gruer onto the back, looks on the inside, can't quite make it stick there. Definitely applying the pressure, and Hughes just soaking it up. You mentioned the fact that they normally go at it at a regional and club level, and here at nationals they're doing just as well, just not for the lead of the race. They're going for 4th and 3rd respectively.
There was some very clever blocking or defensive driving there from Connor Hughes to keep Rob Gruer behind him as they head down the back straight now. 168 looking for a way past. He's going to have to do it again at turn 1, but he needs to be a lot braver on the brakes with Connor Hughes in front of him.
Now Hughes just keeping him at bay for now. And in fact, they're starting to slow each other up enough. There comes Vegas. Vegas not too far off the back end. He could be a threat by the closing stages if they continue to fight as hard as what they're doing and continue to slow each other up.
Connor's wise to the move now, so he pulls a little bit to the middle of the circuit, a little bit tighter, and just as they break, starts closing it tight again.
Just a half an inch across, and that's enough to stop the attack from Gruer. Gruer now going left, going a little bit of wider line and cutting that apex very late to get the second part of the 180s and look for the drive down the back straight. Further up the front, and you can see unbelievable stuff coming here to the checkered flag. In fact, last lap there. Last lap for Michael Stephen. Can he hang on? Can he keep out Peterson for this last part of this race?
Michael Stevens obviously has the late race pace because he's pulled 3 car lengths on Jonathan Peterson, and I think that's why Jonathan was so adamant on getting past early. He knew he didn't have the pace latter in the latter part of the race, so Michael able to pull a couple of car lengths. He's got a nice breathing room now. I think bar any mistakes, he's got in the back.
Nice done. Heading into Golf Club, he'll definitely have the advantage. He'll know exactly where to place that kart. It's not going to give any opportunities there to Peterson to get through. And the first win is going to go to the man from Volkswagen Driving Academy as he comes through there. What a good drive. Good start to the season. DD2 Masters first win in the bag there. As he looks back, he'll see that Jonathan Peterson wasn't too far off the back of him. And definitely going to be a fight between these two for this championship. A great effort there from Connor Hughes in 3rd place ahead of Roy Gruer. Then it's Marco Vegas, Ernst Viljoen, Andre Steenkamp and Alistair Mingay coming through for the top 8.
Yeah, obviously my main focus this weekend is on DD2 Masters, and that kart feels really good. And he had a go. I made a mistake on the first lap. I don't know if behind me if they brought sand onto the track, but I had a big moment on lap 2, and I think that allowed him to close up. But I think towards the end of the race, I had it sort of covered, and hopefully we can get another 2 wins in heat 2 and 3.
Well, heat 2 and 3, and this is heat 2 we're going to be looking at. 15 laps of action. Marco Vegas in 3rd place there. and looking to put a little bit of a spanner in the works, I think, into turn 1. If he gets the drive off the line, he'll be able to do that. He does. He gets on the inside looking for a way through on Peterson. Peterson gets the whole shot. Michael Stephen on the outside line had to give way to a couple of drivers diving on the inside. One of them was Connor Hughes. The second of them was Vegas, who's got up into second place. And hello, where did he come from? 115. Brett Brito just diving through there on Michael Stephen. Oh, we got an incident. And Stephen capitalizes on the incident. Thanks for coming. He knew exactly what was going to happen in there. There was too many carts that shouldn't be there. And now it's Peterson ahead of Michael Stephen. And it's just every single car other than Michael Stephen and Connor Hughes and Jonathan Peterson involved in that one. 177's there. Mingay, Marco's there as well. I think he's the biggest loser.
Yeah, starting in third place now. He's had a massive knock. But I noticed on the start there was a gap missing on the start as well. So Rob Greer didn't even make the start of the heat.
Yeah, Greer with a bit of issues there. Let's have a look at this. They come in there. Oh, hello. That's very nice. So it's Marco Vegas who gets a little bit of assistance there from Connor Hughes. Connor Hughes survives. Michael Stephen, the biggest survivor, they're diving through to avoid all that incident. And of course, Peterson being the other one. They got yellow flags still into where the incident is. Those yellow flags about to be withdrawn. Kind of a late call there on the yellow flags to be withdrawn, but fortunately just in time for this pack of carts to come raging into the 180s. So it was Connor Hughes, Peterson and Michael Stephen who survived, and there you can see them in shot with Peterson leading over Michael Stephen and Hughes. And then it's the 46 cart of Ansel Yoon, who's now been gifted a chance of a top 5.
Well, Hughes' biggest competitors being Rob Greer and Marco out of the way now, so he's just going to have, I think he's going to have quite a lonely race there in third.
There's a third of the race completed now, and you can see Michael Stephen has closed that gap down. Peterson, I think, is in trouble here. Michael Stephen definitely wants to take 2 wins on the day, and possibly 3 if he can. Just open up his championship aspirations here in DD2 Masters with a triple win in Cape Town is not a bad way, considering he's going to his home track for round 2, and that's definitely a place he's going to be very difficult to beat.
I just watched Jonathan Peterson look over his shoulder and then shake his head as he sees how close Michael Stevens has gotten up to him. So I think he thought he had it in the bag, he had a big enough gap, but Michael showed him otherwise.
Sure, somebody ran off the track there in a big way and pulled a lot of rubble onto the track. You saw them go into the start of that pit lane chicane, and man, there's just rubble everywhere there. Fortunately, both of them saw it and found a decent enough line not to go sliding off. And looking back, it's a long way back to Connor Hughes, who currently sits in third place. Fourth place battle starting to heat up there. It's 146. Andre Steenkamp closing in on the 46 cart. And you can see that they're coming into some back markers too now. The reason for that is that, of course, they've closed in more rapidly than before due to the fact that there was a big incident and so much time lost by those drivers.
Yeah, just the survivors of the incident through the second 180 now. Front pack starting to catch up into them. One of them was, I saw on where was Marco Vegas. So he got himself back on the track and got going again. Just cutting to the bottom of the shot there now.
Yeah, it's Justin Walton that they're catching. James Moore. And I think Marco Vegas just ahead of them. So good potential that they might be Lapcha.
Ooh, not much space there for Michael to make it through, but he forces his way through there. Jonathan didn't give him enough space for a cart, but Michael made sure there was. A little bit of rubbing his racing there.
Yeah, rubbing his racing, exactly. Didn't nudge you, he didn't bump you, he rubbed you. And he got through. So he's made it stick. Now coming up onto that 199, and hopefully going to use that back marker to his advantage. The back marker stays wide. And he cuts back. Remember, the idea of back mark is to hold your line. The quicker drivers will find a way past you, and he is hindering them there. He is hindering them ever so slightly, but shouldn't be too much of an issue. Once they get onto the straight, they should blow past him and get up. There you go, moving across. Oh, it actually gives
Jonathan using it.
Nearly. Yeah. He had a look.
Almost.
That's the way to do it, though.
Second 180, though. There should be a dive here. Jonathan's going to have a go. Not close enough for a lunge.
Maybe come back through here and watch for the cutback. No, he's not close enough. Michael Stevens going to dominate through there and gets good drive out of the second of the 180s now onto the back straight. So Peterson, oh, there you go. There's Vegas with the slightly damaged 162 Tony Cart. Just trying to maintain and stay out on track. The reason being is that you still want to score points because I think, if I'm not mistaken, they score down to 15th place in these championships. So he's still got a chance of getting into the top 10 for some points.
Yeah, they score well on the field, and so as long as you circulate, keep going, you can score the points.
Right, with the final lap now, it is Michael Stephen, Jonathan Peterson way out in front. And in fact, I've got to take my hat off to Jonathan Peterson. Despite being in second place, he's just put the fastest lap of the race in there. It's not quite a lap record for this category, but 41.4 is certainly nothing to be afraid of.
Back marker playing big here as they head into golf club.
Ooh, Alistair Mingo, get out the way, buddy. Here they come.
Jonathan Peterson hoping he capitalizes. They head now into the pit chicane. You'd be a brave man and have a go.
No, I think he was lucky. He was lucky to survive that one. Michael Stephen used the back marker to his advantage and just gets ahead of Peterson there for the second win on the day. So that's a good way to start things out. Double win and double second place for the top two. It's Connor Hughes will eventually come through for third place. And there you can see a little fist pump between the two of them. They know they're a good dice. It's really good stuff. And I think Peterson's just a bit concerned about the heavy move there from Michael Stephen. Vegas going around the outside. He'll be concerned about what happened in the 180s. But there you have confirmation of Heat 2. Stephen, Peterson, Hughes and Viljoen. Andre Steenkamp in the top 5 with Brito, Minge, Vegas and Moore your top 9. Straight into Heat 3. Oh, we're going to get 3 out of 3 here. Michael Stephen definitely looking for 3 out of 3. But he is sitting in second place on the grid. Connor Hughes tucked in behind. Marco Vegas has got his Tony Kart sorted out as they head down towards turn 1. It's a good start from Peterson. Looks like he might have got the drop.
Oh, Connor Hughes looking for the inside of both of them there into the first corner. Unable to make it happen though. So two of them, same two contenders in the front. Oh, Michael Stevens, we've lost him. He's behind Marco Vegas in 4th place. So that'll give Jonathan Peterson a little bit of time to get a gap, build a gap, get away from Michael Stevens.
Amazing to see that he couldn't capitalize, but there he goes through on Vegas coming out of the 180s. Just squeezes him out and gets up into contention for Connor Hughes, who's his next man in sight. 177, Alistair Minge. He's had a good start, much better start from him. Back of the field there, the 133 of Robert Pesch and Justin Walton fighting for honours.
Connor Hughes there still holding on to second place ahead of Michael Stevens and Marco Vegas there as they head down onto the main straight. That's Connor losing a bit of speed out of the pit chicane there, so he's going to be a sitting duck through the first 180s if Michael's braving up from the brakes.
Nicely done there, and you can see them just giving enough room to play. Hughes has been caught and could potentially be passed by Michael Stephen any second now as they come through into the 180s. Ooh, a little bit of running wide, and clip. 146 getting clipped there, and unfortunately that's going to be costly for Andre Steenkamp. On the outside, the 199, that was the protagonist, that was Justin Walton. The two of them coming together. Hopefully they can get those carts back on track rapidly and back into contention. But those two having a little incident into the first of the 180s. One is going, 199 has got back on track, and so has 146. So everybody other than Roy Gruer, who hasn't made it out for the Heat 3, is back on the circuit.
Michael Stevens there, big dive down into turn 1. Easy does it, Connor giving him more than enough room. I think Connor knows he doesn't have the pace to run with him at the moment. Rather let him get going and get... No, I spoke too soon. Big dive from Connor into the first 180 to get past Michael Stevens. Blocks the door for the second 180. Michael's going to be looking for the cutback, but Connor, wise to him, gave him a little bit less track than he needed.
Mike's going to be enjoying this, I can tell you. He loves a good dice. So, yes, he's concerned about Peterson getting away at the front end, and he is doing that. He's making hay while the sun is shining and the wind's blowing. But Michael can't fight too much here and have a little bit of a fun dice here with Connor Hughes and with the 162 there of Marco Vegas. He's got to get the job done, get through on Hughes and start closing that gap down, because otherwise it might be too much of an ask for Peterson to be caught and passed.
I was about to say, if I was Michael, I'd give him a bit of a block pass in the next corner, which is exactly what he's done, and he's given himself just a car length going into the first 180 and block the braking marker there as well. So if Connor was a little bit ambitious, he wasn't going to make it through with Michael Stevens in the middle of the track.
Yeah, positioning the kart perfectly to ensure that attack didn't happen. So Peterson now down the back straight, and you can see he is opening up a margin. Connor Hughes has already lost about 4 or 5 kart lengths there to Michael Stephen, and it looks like Vegas is starting to close that gap down between himself and Hughes as they come through the chicane.
Jonathan's got a healthy lead though, and there's Heat 3 is 20 laps though, so it's enough time for Michael to get back onto Jonathan's bumper.
On the front straight now, Vegas closing in on Hughes. Hughes under attack there from the Tony Kart man as they come through turn 1 and up towards the 180s. Hughes just maintaining that little bit of a margin he's got. It's only about a kart length, but it's enough just to manage the pressure from behind. Vegas has got to do all the driving. The hard driving is coming from Marco Vegas, considering he didn't have a great second heat. Just outside the halfway mark, and they've caught onto the back end of those two karters who'd had incidents. And look how close Michael Stephen has got to the back end of Peterson. So Peterson has not had it his own way here in this first half of the race. And there's another strong move from Michael Stephen. That was the one that I spoke about after race 2, and Peterson wasn't happy about that. It wasn't as strong though. It was a little bit more cleaner from Michael Stephen to get through on that one, but he managed to make it stick, and this time it's Peterson who wants to return the favour.
Yeah, they're not holding anything back, these two, and Jonathan comes straight back at him knowing that he needs to. He knows how much pace Michael's got, so he knows he needs to come straight back up as soon as possible, but there's no love lost between these two. The moves are coming hard and fast between them.
Yeah, it's good to see. This is what we want to be seeing in DD2 Masters. This is the kind of pace and race action you'll see at World Finals. So if Peterson wants to take Michael Stephen, and Michael Stephen wants to go there with Peterson and fly the flag high for South Africa later on in Italy, I think this is exactly the kind of racing they need to do. It's good, it's clean, Yes, there's a little bit of roughness every now and again, but when you get to World Finals, it's even rougher.
Yeah, there's still a bit of respect shown between the two of them. Peterson will be hoping to go. He's been to Napoli before, so a little bit of experience for him at that circuit will go a long way at a World Final.
Coming up into some more back markers now, and Michael
big
Stephen.
dive.
That's a big maneuver to make through that corner.
Well, that's ambitious.
Not a lot of people have pulled that off in the past, I can tell you. And they come up on the 111 there of James Moore. Moore just staying out of trouble and staying out of the way of the train coming through. And it's a train led out at this stage by Peterson. Just behind, though, Connor Hughes also being closed down. And watch out for Brett Brito. Brito all of a sudden has now become another threat at the front end of the top 5.
Jonathan Peterson running a little bit more of a defensive line through the second one. That's going to hamper him out of it and onto the back straight. You'll see Michael get a big drive out of here. So Jonathan, if he's going to defend, he's going to have to move early. Not early enough.
No, definitely not early enough. I'm looking in the background. Looks like there might have been another incident on the short straight.
Here comes that big dive again.
Oh! Michael Stephen trying to drive over the back of
it's
Jonathan
taken
Peterson.
the water pipe off of Jonathan Peterson's car.
Oh, Peterson's got an issue now. You can see he's climbed onto the top of the seat and moves off the circuit.
He's getting covered in hot water out of the radiator, so I'm not surprised he's getting out of the car.
Get out of that thing quickly. Yeah, there you go. There's the water pipe and putting it back on. What's happened at the front? Connor Hughes now leading out. Vegas is second. 115, as I mentioned, coming through there is Brett Brito. So Brito's found a way through, and then Michael Stephen down to 4th. So he lost out quite a few positions there. Have a look at this in the replay.
He set it up early going in. He thought he had it, but he's just not deep enough, and Jonathan's come to defend it early. So there wasn't... Michael had committed to the move long before he got there, so he didn't have much time to back out of it when Jonathan defended it.
Look at that hot water pouring onto the back there of Peterson. He tries to avoid it, climbs onto the back of the seat, trying to get off the cart and out the cart as quickly as he can. As he pulls to the sideline, you can see Brito and Vegas going through there. Connor Hughes already passed him early on. Now, 19 of 20. They've got one to go. And Michael Stephen has found his way to the front end again. After that big incident there with Peterson, he's been able to get through the field, make up the 4 positions he lost, and get back to the front. And he now leads going into the final lap. And it's now Connor Hughes who has no answer to the pace there of the Volkswagen Driving Academy man. And I think that nose cone being so dented, he might get away with the nose cone infringement because he's so far ahead of the rest of the field. I think Connor Hughes could be in threat for the first race and first lap incident. So the two of them might be able to survive for first and second here as they come to the flag.
It'll definitely be Huggy's best ever finish as Michael Stephen takes the win. Great drive from him, although a little bit of argy-bargy in the beginning as well as in the last lap, and unfortunately taking out Jonathan Peterson.
So it's Michael Stephen ahead of Connor Hughes, and then it is all about Brett Brito, Ants Falyun, beating out Marco Vegas, Minge, Pesh, and Walton, your top 8 in Heat 3 of the DD2 Masters.
DD2 Masters, you came, you conquered, but phew, were you cross with somebody today? I've never seen you so physical in a very long time.
Yeah, it's good to be back racing. So the 30s obviously got a little bit, I wouldn't say aggressive, but it was hard racing. And unfortunately, the end result wasn't the greatest. We don't like to tangle up on track, but offline here is like really slippery as well. So when you make a move and you commit, you've just got to go for it. And I did that, and unfortunately, we came together, and I was lucky enough to keep going and managed to claw my way back to the lead and take the win. But not nice to see Jono sit on the sideline.
We're going to your home. We're going to the track. I don't know if in the last 10 years you've ever been beaten at Kelso Scribandi. Do you think somebody can come in a month's time and beat you there?
I certainly hope not. But it's certainly been a good hunting ground for me, and I've really done a lot of laps around there, and I think it's quite a unique surface, the track surface. So that home advantage certainly pays off there. But I haven't raced much in the last 6 months or so there, so I need to go and do a little bit of homework and get back on it. But I'm sure we'll have another good showing.